Bossman Show. New head coach of the Binghamton Bearcats, Levell Sanders, here with me. Because guys, some meets names here with us on the Bossman Show. Coach Sanders, man, thanks for coming on the show today. Thanks for joining us. Good to talk to you for the first time, buddy.
Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate you having me on. I'm excited. I like that Atlanta hat too.
Yeah, we used to get some more wins, man. We need some more wins, buddy.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Yes, indeed. Well, tell me, Ms. Coach Sanders, how did it make you feel when the university came to you and said we want to make you interim head coach after they moved on from Coach Dempsey? So you getting the call from the university. They really must believe in you. You've been there for a few years. Tell us how that made you feel when they said, Coach Sanders, we believe in you. We want you to take this program over next year and build it the best way you can going forward.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of an emotional roller coaster. Because when everything happened, of course, in order for me to get this position, somebody had to finish, right? So Coach Dempsey gave me the opportunity to get on his staff, and I'm grateful for that. So as I said, when they were telling me that they weren't going to renew his contract, and if I wanted to take over the position, I was pretty excited. A lot of people try to work a lot of years and try to get in this position and don't have opportunity. And for me to be back, in the U.S. for 2 years and get this opportunity, I'm definitely appreciative for that. So I was excited. I was super excited. I'm still excited. But when the initial talk on Sunday was, I was a little bit shocked because I wasn't really expecting it. But definitely excited for the opportunity.
Most definitely. You've been a head coach over there in Europe, so it's not like it's your first rodeo being a head coach. It's your first time being a college head coach, dealing with all those NCAA regulations and rules you have to abide by. So for you, seeing Coach Dempsey running on this program the last few years, so how prepared are you in your mind to be the head man here going forward? Because I know you've been a coach, you definitely aspire to be a head coach once again. So watching how Coach did his thing, so what things you take from him as you move on in this role you have right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot different being a head coach. That you have so much more responsibilities. Coach Dempsey did a really good job of running the program. I mean, we have top-notch student athletes in our program, right? We have a fan base that's excited. He did a good job of helping and engaging the fan base. Actually, just talking to we just had a fundraising meeting, and Tom Galby, who's in charge of that, was telling us that Coach Dempsey did a really good job with that. So we have to make sure we continue, the things he did. A lot of times when you take over a program, I think people like to talk about going in a different direction and all those type of things, and I think that kind of undermines some of the things that the coach prior, what they did. So we want to kind of continue to build on the things he did, but I think every coach, if you put 10 coaches in a room, probably all 10 coaches will have different ideas, different styles of play. So we definitely want to do some things differently, but definitely continue to build on what Coach Dempsey did. As you said, I was a head coach overseas, which is, I think coaching professionals are different than coaching in college kids. As you said, there are a ton of rules and things you have to abide by, and just in terms of practice and things like that. You have to give guys a certain number of days off. Whereas as a professional, when you coaching overseas, that's your job. There
No doubt.
you don't want to give a guy a day off. You don't have to. If you feel that we need to work for 7 days in a row, you're going to work 7 days in a row. So there are some adjustments you have to make. But I think the good thing, the one thing that I didn't have overseas was I only had one assistant coach, and so you kind of have to wear a lot of hats. Whereas
Oh yeah.
here, you have 3, 4 of the coaches you're working with, but you also have administrators, and you also have compliance people and academic people that help you out. So you have a good support system to help you over here, and that's what I like. That's the one thing that I was looking forward to when I decided I wanted to come back. Was I was looking forward to the collaboration of being able to get in the room and have 3, 4 other coaches there, and everybody kind of bounce ideas off each other, because I think that's the thing that really helps a program strive. Of course, the head coach has to have a vision, but I think you have to have people around you that can help you bring that vision to fruition. And I definitely believe we have that here.
Now, Coach, for you come out of Jamaica, Queens, playing overseas, at what point did you say in your mind you wanted to get into coaching? 'Cause I know a lot of players would love to play, but then a lot of players don't want to get into coaching. So at what point for you did you decide you want to get into coaching from playing overseas and being coming out of Jamaica, Queens, a great part of New York City there? So tell us about that.
Right. I went to high school in Jamaica, Queens. I'm from Brooklyn, though. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So,
Okay, so you're Brooklyn
um,
BK in the house.
right. But you know what? It wasn't until I never thought I would be a coach. But when towards the end of my playing career, I became a player assistant. So I was a player, but also I was an assistant coach. And that was kind of the first time where I was like, oh, this is cool. And I always thought of myself as a smart basketball player, have a high basketball IQ. So it wasn't hard for me to to make the transition. But again, I think it was until like 2014 maybe when I thought, when I started to think about, well, you know what, maybe I can coach. And because I did, I played till I was 40 years old. So I had, I didn't have the athletic ability. I didn't have the speed and quickness. So I had to use my brain, right, to be successful, which I also think helped me a lot. I think a lot of times, especially, coaches, I know for me, I think the great thing that helps me is that if I'm trying to talk to a kid about, how to beat, for example, an ice defense where they pushing you to the baseline, trying to keep you on one side of the floor. Like I actually played against that, right? Because again, I was a player just 5 years ago. So a lot
Hmm.
of the things that these kids are seeing, I played against, and I knew how to beat it as a player. So it helps me as a coach. I remember last season, my first season here in Binghamton, we had a really good point guard, Sam Sessoms, and he ended up transferring to Penn State. But he was a really good player. And I remember the first game of the year we were playing against Cornell, and they started to, again, they were icing him on the sideline, trying to keep him on one side of the floor. And I was just trying to give him some tips and pointers, because again, as I said, I had played against that defense, and nothing against coaches that haven't played against it. I just think it gives me a kind of unique
Oh yeah.
advantage, because I have seen some of the things, and I have played again as recently as 5 years ago. So definitely looking forward to being a head coach again.
No doubt. And for you, coach, building a program is so key to building a culture, having the right guys on your team and on your program. Because if you get the wrong guy, can just wreck the whole thing. It messes up any progress you have. So, how do you envision building this program, knowing that you have this year here as the interim head coach, to make sure it's good and you can cement yourself as the head coach of Binghamton going forward?
Yeah, I think so. Tommy Amica, he's a coach at Harvard, right? He coached me my senior year at Seton Hall, and we have a pretty good relationship. And whenever there are kind of major decisions, I always talk to him. And one of the first things he told me was that, um, don't coach as if you're trying to get the job, but coach as if you have the job, right? So I don't look at the interim tag as I want to prove something to somebody. I'm going to go about my business as if I'm, the head coach of Binghamton University. And then I think that's important. Secondly, I think that we have really good student athletes in our program already. Um, and as I said, I think each coach has a different way of doing things. Of course, I would do some things a little bit different than Coach Dempsey did. Again, doesn't mean good or bad, but we'll do some things differently than he did, just because we are two different people. Um, so we our guys are off right now. We're going to start back April 5th, and it's going to be from April 5th. We're going to implement. We're going to start doing things, or the culture that we want to create. We're going to start that April 5th, and then it's just about enforcing that on a daily basis. We have to build. There's certain habits you have to build as a player, as a team, to be successful. And of course, it's hard work, right? We all know without hard work, you can't accomplish anything,
Most definitely.
and then it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. As I told the guys, everybody's going to pick us last. Coming into the season, and rightfully so, right? We haven't really, proved ourselves to be successful, but that doesn't mean that it's true, right? right? And it's our job, and we have an opportunity to go out and prove everybody wrong. I look at and I think you had him on your show, Dennis Gates, who uh, head coach at Cleveland State.
Oh yeah.
We I reach out to him a lot, and he gives me a lot of advice. But again, he had a program that he took over, and in 2 years, look what they're doing. So,
Hmm.
um, and Coach Gates is a sharp guy, and I really respect what he's doing. But again, it's about the daily grind. It's about putting in that work, and you can't take shortcuts. So we have the people in place. Of course, we have to add to our team in terms of adding players and things of that nature. But again, as you said, you have to have a vision. You have to have a culture to kind of reinforce that vision, and then after that, it's about implementing that. It's about enforcing that, and it's about, again, the daily grind of just wanting to be better day by day.
You got that right, Coach. And like I say, even with my insurance here, it's about being accountable. I know it's a radio show. I'm doing the hosting, but hey, things you got to do behind the scenes, they got to hold you accountable to. If you want to be good in this business, I've been in this business for 10 years. You have to do it a certain way to make it work for you. So I'm saying thing here, Coach. These young interns here from these schools around Atlanta, man, I got to teach them, hey, this how you get hit in this business. You can't do it half doing it. You half make it, you get half to pay. Trust and believe that.
Right, right, and I also think that I'm big on not just the players have to develop and get better, but I'm also everybody in the program, right? Like
Yes.
coaches, different departments. Like we all have to get better, right? We all have to want to seek information. We also have to, we can't think we know everything, and that's me. I don't think I know everything. I'm very open to different ideas. I've played for a lot of coaches who were that way. That you know, you kind of talk about that kind of that growth mindset. So I played for a lot of coaches that were that way, and welcomed feedback, and I'm gonna be the same way. And if we do that, I think we can grow together as a university. Again, as I said, just talking to Tom today, and got a lot of great ideas from him. And again, it's about how you can make this better, how you can make that better. But again, it's all a process of getting better, right? You can always get better. I don't care what are you doing. I don't care how successful you are. You can always
Yes.
improve, right? So that's what we have to have that mindset that we want to be hungry to improve and get better.
Most definitely, and coach, it's so paramount because when you strive to be the best and try to get better every day, you will get better. Like in your business, get better by winning games. For me, it's getting the biggest guest possible, and also controlling the narrative as well. Because I don't want to be told who I can and cannot talk to. See, if I worked somewhere else, they would tell me I can't talk to you because you're not local to Atlanta. But guess what?
Right,
I own my own thing. I do my own what I want to. Guess what? I can talk to Levell Sanders when I want to. Dennis Gates when
right.
I want to. Leonard Hamilton when I want to. And not have to ask somebody, a GM, can I do it? That's the beauty of it. And when you strive to be the best, the biggest guest you can in my business, or in your case, win as many games as you can get, make great young men as well, because it's also about being a student athlete and becoming a great young man after Binghamton, after you get that degree, hopefully, and play internationally or in the NBA. If that's your path, be becoming a great human being in our society, which is also very important as coach for me growing in terms of you growing young college basketball players into men.
Definitely. And I think that, when you take on a responsibility, and when you talk to parents and you tell parents that you're gonna, you would like to recruit their kids, and you want, their son, to come to your university, you have a responsibility. And it's the whole college experience. It's not just about playing basketball. I want student athletes, when they come to Binghamton, they have a whole experience. I went to college. I know exactly what that is. You want to be able to be a well-rounded, after you leave school, because I always, for me, I went to Seton Hall University, but I had an opportunity to go to Princeton coming out of high school. But of course, I didn't understand the value of that, right? And I love Seton Hall. It's a great school, but when you can go to a school like Princeton, the Ivy League institution, um, the resources you have, the people that you have at your disposal, is amazing. So again, what I'm saying is that Binghamton is academics a great academic institution. So number one, anybody that's coming here, has to know that, it's you're a student athlete, right? You come here to to be a student athlete, and that student part we take very seriously. Our president take that very seriously. Our athletic director take that very seriously. Uh, Myself and my coaching staff, we take that very seriously. So we want to bring kids here to have a great experience. And after you leave here, we don't want to say, okay, you played 4 or 5 or 3 years, and then you're done. We want to continue to be able to help kids. We want to continue to kids. Then there'll be men, but we want to continue to help them become the people in the society that they would like to be. And if that's helping, with jobs, if that's, for me playing it overseas, as long as I've played and I've developed a lot of relationships over there, if kids want to go overseas and play, um, I can help out with that. And I think that's also a great experience, to be able to go live and survive in another culture, in another country. I mean, it was big for my development. It opened my mind up in so many different ways. Being from Brooklyn, New York, you think that Brooklyn is kind of the end all be all, but then when you get an opportunity to go out and go to the Czech Republic and live in Poland and live in Belgium and visit Turkey and all of these different places, you get opportunity to see how other people live, and it makes you appreciate what you have, what you've been through. I always say, I wouldn't want to be from any other place. I think Brooklyn, raised me, and the way I was raised in Brooklyn, it helped me get through everything that I've been through in life. So definitely, when a kid is thinking about being into university, we want them to think about the full student athlete experience, and that's what we try to expose them to.
Well, Coach, I'll definitely be helping you out any way I can. If you want to come on the show and discuss the university, get guys from Georgia come up there and play for you, because a lot of diamonds in the rough down here in Georgia. And to come play with Coach Sanders, he said, I'll believe in him. I'll put my stamp on it. I'll believe in Coach Sanders. So, Coach, if you want to come on the show ever again, if between now and the summer, whenever, man, shoot me a text. You're on the show. We'll talk about Brooklyn. We'll talk about playing at the Meadowlands. We was in college, man. All that good stuff, man. I love those
Yeah,
places over there, man.
yeah. It was it's so different, man. I went back to we played NJIT. They actually have two guys from Georgia on their team, but we went to Newark. I mean, we play right in Newark, right? And so that was my old stomping ground. But it looks so different. It looks so different now. They have the big, the Prudential Center down there. It was a lot easier. We played in the Meadowlands, so kids had to drive 40, 45 minutes away. So it was, but now they just go right downtown Brooklyn, up right downtown Brooklyn, downtown Newark, to the Prudential Center. But yeah, I definitely will. I definitely like to stay in contact. I appreciate you having me on the show. It's good for me to be able to do these type of things, because it gives me an opportunity to let people know who I am, let people know about our university. And I was talking to our coaches just this morning, and we're talking about building our brand, right? We need to build our brand. So as you said, we can tap into the Georgia market. We can tap into the South, and of course, the Northeast is kind of where we do a lot of our recruiting. But hey, my mother lives in Georgia, or she lived in Georgia. I got family in Georgia. I got family in North Carolina. So I would like to take some trips down there to recruit and see people. So I definitely appreciate the opportunity to be on the show, man.
And hey, when you come down to Georgia, I got you. We go get some Taco Max, we go get some seafood. We go get whatever you like, Coach. At ATL, I know where to take you, man. And Coach, my job here for me is I want to give Black coaches an opportunity to be heard in here in Atlanta. My platform is about giving you all a platform, because you don't get talked to. Only something bad happens, you win a tournament game, and that's how they talk to you. I want to talk to you on a random day in March or random day in July about your program, how workouts are going, because all that matters. Because if you don't get covered, nobody ever know who you are, what you got building. So I want people to know about Binghamton. I want any Black head coach. I try to give y'all a platform on this show. Someone come on the show, that's their prerogative. But hey, those who do, I love you all, and I support you all. I'll do everything that I can for you all to help you all. Use this platform, use this show, promote stuff, promote your tweets. I'll do everything I can to help you guys, because that's my way of serving you guys, give even back to the community by helping you all.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it, and likewise. I mean, anything I can do within the NCAA rules to help, I'm all for it. And again, as I said, I definitely will be reaching out to you because again, those opportunities. Again, as you said, we need those opportunities to promote our universities, to promote what we have going on, and we do have a lot. I think we do have a lot to offer up here in Binghamton. And again, it might not be a school that a lot of people know about right now, but we have plans on changing that. Again, it's to start with the hard work. So I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Anytime, coach. Coach, you be safe, man. Talk to you real soon, buddy.
Take care.
All right now.